I know, but we got this magical new neighbor though. In Adrian Doyle's house.
Good evening. Welcome to our regular Thursday, January 5th, school board meeting in the year 2023. We will call to order, beginning with Jim.
I'm Jim Lothridge.
Diane Potter.
Alyssa Tracy.
Matt Marshall.
Megan Carlson.
Becky Fless.
Tony Veet.
Chris McLaughlin.
Alyssa Hendrickson.
Nicole Medora.
Anchoring the end, Matt Lillybridge.
Anchoring the end.
A lot of stuff here.
He's left out.
How'd you get so lucky? Administrative staff.
Pat Hopkins, Superintendent.
Andrea Dish, Business Manager.
Gabe Dostey, Director of Operations.
Karen Moody, Principal of Watership School.
Vicki Duguay, Principal of Riverview Community School.
Katie Gould, Principal at Helen Thompson School.
Tiffany Cockrell, Interim Principal at Pittston Randolph.
Josh Farr, Director of Adult Education. Chad Kempton, High School Principal.
Jared McGuire, Director of Technology.
Excellent. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comment for items on or off the agenda? Seeing none. Review and approval of the agenda minutes, prioritization of items and alteration of the established agenda format sequence as needed.
Yes, I'm going to go through both revisions 1 and revisions 2 that you have because an updated agenda was not posted until this morning. So I just want to publicly indicate what those changes were. So under correspondence, we have received a retirement letter from Jeff Tripp. He is an English language arts teacher at the middle school, and he will be retiring at the end of this school year. We've received a resignation letter from Zachary Hubbard. He is a social studies teacher. He was in a 1-year federally funded position at the middle school. Let's see.
Is he staying till the end of the year?
No.
Okay, that's more immediate.
That is more immediate. Under administrators' reports on page 3, it should say December 2022. General information, we have Farron Crop, who was hired as an Ed Tech 2 in the Life Skills Program at the high school. We have Melissa Moran, who has been hired as an Ed Tech 1 at the Helen Thompson School to be a district Ed Tech. And then I just added under my report to inform you about the superintendent's winter convocation, January 12th and 13th.
That's it. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Tony, second by Diane. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Approval of the agenda, approval of minutes of previous meetings, regular board meeting of December 1st, 2022. Moved by Alyssa, second by Matt Lillybridge. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Moving right along. No recognitions and celebrations. Correspondence as written. Committee reports. CATC Advisory Committee, no meeting. Curriculum Committee meeting, Matt.
At the last curriculum committee meeting, we looked over 8 separate policies. We talked to policy this evening about pushing them through to the first read at the next board meeting. So those you'll see them next month. Angela shared with the committee and did basically an updated curriculum review, what was due for as far as contracting goes, what was up, what curriculum we had this year and next for the next year that we're going to come up that we were going to need to fund. So we talked about some finance budgets information. She put some good stuff out. That was about it.
Great. There was no dropout prevention committee meeting. However, the next one will be January 24th.
I assume at the middle school.
Finance Committee meeting, let's see, you've received the minutes. November, there was no meeting. December, there was a meeting, and I need to find the minutes. Can you grab them up real quick? Oh, thank you.
It looks like this is the December one right here and then.
So we had a cluster of minutes that needed to be provided, so we'd already reported out on those other ones, but the December one is the one we hadn't yet reported out on. So in December, let's see, the meeting was available to be viewed. We talked about the student activity account. For efficiency, the business manager requested the committee's permission to consolidate the district's banking and reduce the number of financial institutions that we are doing business with, and we agreed with that just for simplicity and creating something easier.
Yeah.
Oh, better, it doesn't
There
get
we
you.
go.
Okay, now, there we go. Efficiency main incentives, a lighting retrofit, stated that Efficiency Main is currently offering incentives for lighting retrofit projects. With the increase in electricity supply costs, the committee discussed possibly entering into a performance contract to update its interior lighting. And we did one with Siemens several years ago, and the person that helped us with that, Tom Seekins, is no longer with Siemens. He's now just a regular contractor, is that right? And he represents,
He's a consultant.
He's a consultant. And we saw him at Fall Conference and talked about doing some more, talked about some new needs that we have within the district. The business manager shared with the committee the district's medical loss ratio, as reported through September, stated that the medical loss ratio aids in determining the district's health insurance increase for the subsequent fiscal year. You guys all understand do you understand what that means, everyone? And then the quarterly finance report overview, and she gave us all copies. And health services discussion. And all of this is in your minutes in your packet, and the meeting is also available to be live streamed if you have questions and need that deeper dive. Policy Committee, thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
So very much.
Look at that.
You're so
We're
helpful.
on the same page.
What would I do? Moving us right along.
So let's see, reviewing the policy committee meeting from December 1st. So last month's policy committee meeting, we met and reviewed a number of policies which we agreed to present to the board for first reading. Those are included in, let's see, the email packet. Yeah, they're not in your folders. So in the email packet, you have the list from the minutes, but you also have each of the policies. So if you want to dive in on those, please feel free. So with that, I would put forth a motion to accept the policies listed for first reading. Second. Awesome.
Perfect. All those in favor? Excellent. Thank you.
And the second read?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. And
We were doing so well.
And then
Oops.
we've been going through so many. I just look at lists of.
Right. There's a lot here.
Yeah. So and then for second reading, and you see that in the handout and then in the packet agenda, those are presented for a second reading. And so I put forth a motion to accept those policies listed for a second reading.
I'll second that.
Second by Matt. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Excellent. Before we move on to student reps, I just want to mention policies. They're the things that save our lives every day, and the better we know them, the better we do. And I would encourage you, if you are sitting in your doctor's office or if you're sitting in bed late at night and you just can't fall asleep, that you pull up our policy manual and familiarize yourselves regularly with how well it's organized. And that we have so many, but we have a policy for like everything. And those are the things that keep us and save us. So I've been doing some, yes, and I've been doing some board trainings with Maine School Boards Association, and we are really well positioned in this district with our policies as compared to some other districts around us. And since I've been on the board as long as I have, it's not been until like the last 4 or 5 years that I've actually begun studying it, because somebody will say, do you have a policy for that? And I don't want to have to say anymore, I don't know. So I really work at familiarizing myself with our policy manual, and I would encourage you guys. It's great late night reading. You feel much better. You can sleep better knowing you're protected. Moving on. Student reps.
Okay, so I talked to some students this month. I talked to a senior who says that their year is going well. They say that applying for colleges is a little bit stressful, but their teachers have helped them a lot with that and have some great resources. And I talked to a junior student who said that they need to work on pacing themselves with work, and that their favorite project was one in chemistry.
Really?
And
Great.
yeah, we have amazing chemistry teachers. I talked to a sophomore who says that their year is going okay and that they are excited to work on their Hamilton project and they're excited to read. And then a freshman said that their year had ups and downs. They've been a little bit struggling with their mental health, but they're working on keeping track of everything and stuff. They had an amazing time doing an exotic animal project with Mr. Helm and a pasta bridge with Mr. Duca. And I have some school-wide clubs. A lot of clubs participated in the holiday family that we do at Gardner Area High School, in which we aid families in need during the holidays. The Interact Club wrapped gifts for multiple families after the cancellation of the craft fair. And many teens said that they felt good helping families that needed extra help. And one person said that they imagined the smiles on the family's face while they're opening the gifts, and that made them really happy. And the musical is, they're getting ready to put on an outstanding performance on February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And they plan to bring laughter to the Little Theater. And they said, because when you're in Adams, you need to have a sense of humor. And that's what I have.
I'm checking to see is February 2nd, because we have talked about,
That's a board meeting.
I know.
We did that Lion King one once.
We would talked about taking a field trip, remember? Wouldn't that be fun
Fun.
to go as
Go
a
to the
school board?
theater
Yeah, and support
and
our
not have a
students.
board meeting that month?
Well, not necessarily not have a board meeting, but maybe we could have, create a smaller, shorter agenda and maybe not do policy that night, but do our meeting. I'm planning ahead. I want to support our kids. It's been a long time. Not that I want to step on your toes, or you can say that's a bad idea if you like. But maybe we could have a regular meeting at the high school so that we could all attend the play.
Yeah.
I think that's nice.
Field trips are fun.
I believe it's at
We never get to
7.
go on field trips.
Yeah, we can certainly take a look at that. Yeah, if you haven't been to the plays, they're phenomenal. They're just
Yeah.
so much
It
fun.
starts at 7.
And so whether you go or not, we'll be going. They're just so much fun.
And if it doesn't start till 7, maybe we could just do like, push everything and condense as much as we could.
Yeah, you are impacting policy. We were ready to set a shot in February and call it good.
Yeah, but who do we need to make happy more?
But we
Students?
can move that to March. And we can certainly move that to March,
Isn't that a great idea?
right? Could everyone attend a 5:30 meeting on the 2nd? And we could limit it to about an hour and 15 minutes.
Sure.
Thursday.
It's a Thursday night. That way we can all go to the play.
We'll meet at the high school.
We'll meet at the high school. Mr. Kempton, can you help
Is
make
that
that
okay with
happen?
you?
I guess so.
All
I just
right.
want to do something as a group. I feel like that's just a,
The show.
Can we bring
great idea.
spouses?
yeah, sure.
Can we bring what? Spouses?
I don't know if we should bring Mike because he's got glass and sharp shards in the back of his truck. Don't go there.
Never know what
Did you
he's
say spouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can bring
Spouses
spouses.
or partners or, whomever.
Bring the
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that support us while we
Kids
do
and
all this work.
everything else. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, if you would please send me an email or at the end of this meeting, let me know how many will be attending, whether it's just you or someone else, so we can talk about tickets and everything else.
Space for the, I'm hearing you're gonna have the board meeting at the high school. Do you want to have it in the library?
Yes, please.
My wild-haired ideas gets everything all twisted up.
Now, the one, as when he's looking, the one downside of that is that we now live stream all of your meetings. And if you're at the high school, you're not going to be able to live stream. We can. All right, Terry says we can live stream, but it will not be the same quality or the same format as here.
Or the same time, or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right,
Clear.
we're clear, all right.
Yay, thank you for your flexibility
Then
while I.
let's,
Josh moved all kinds of stuff around.
Josh, you're a miracle worker.
How could you do that so quickly?
I probably put that on my calendar. I won't forget.
Magic.
There'll be Zoom going on next to you in the library while you do your meeting.
It'd be a great stretch for all of us. Well, thank you all for being willing to do all this. I think that's a fun thing to do.
The cast is gonna be so excited.
Yeah.
Okay, great,
I have a quick question. We are gonna buy our own tickets, right? We should.
yes,
That supports
yes,
the
That's
kids.
the whole point.
Yes, okay, just wanted to make sure that everybody understands.
Well, heck, yeah.
Okay, good.
$8, right, Alyssa? Is it 8?
$10 for
10,
adults.
okay. Middle school's 8. I guess we.
Alyssa, thank you for that great idea.
Alyssa, how
You
much
set
is
me
it?
off on a
$10
thought
per
tangent.
How
adult.
much you can't afford it?
I got you, Jim.
Moving along, because we gotta get out of here. The
Thank you,
roads are
Chris. Let's go.
You're
terrible.
welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, administrator reports.
Speed reading.
Speed reader.
All of them, right?
Speed reading.
There'll be some common themes. At LER, we're noteworthy. We are so grateful for the school board support to allow us to hire 2 full-time nurses, one for LER and one for RV. This will help the nurses meet the medical and emotional needs of our students in each of our elementary schools. LER's challenge for this month: attendance for both staff and students declined significantly during the month of December due to many illnesses, mainly COVID, influenza A, RSV. We had to report the absences to the state almost every day as we were over the 15%. November's attendance was 93.4%, while December's daily attendance was 82.5%. We are hopeful that most everyone will return to school much healthier in January. Riverview, noteworthy. We are excited to be able to hire a full-time nurse for both RV and LER, and a huge thank you to the board for approving this step. We are starting interviewing and hope to fill these 2 positions soon. The review's challenge for December. During the month of December, our student absentee rate due to illnesses was at the daily rate that required reporting to the state. Hopefully with the break, our students have recovered and will be back in school regularly. Helen Thompson. Noteworthy. Helen Thompson School will host the official kickoff for the 2023 Winter Kids Winter Games, the Olympics. I wanted to put that word in there. On Monday, January 9th at 1 o'clock. This is the 6th annual Winter Kids Challenge, and Helen Thompson has participated representing Kennebec County each year. The theme of the 4-week challenge this year is My Wild Winter, excuse me. This press conference will include Winter Kids coordinators and sponsors, including Channel 8 News. Additionally, students sent invitations to local heroes and community members with the hopes that they can join in the fun at Helen Thompson. Helen Thompson's Challenge. Their main lobby remains under construction due to the ceiling repairs that have not yet been completed. This adds a layer of coordination to direct traffic in safe and effective ways. It's in Randolph. Noteworthy, excuse me. We have a new buddy bench thanks to the 3rd grade classrooms community initiative. From the persuasive presentations to present the ideas, I was invited to the organization of the tasks, to the fundraising efforts, to the sweat equity, and finally to the writing of the thank you notes. We now have a brand new, freshly painted bench on our playground where students can go if they need a friend during recess. We're grateful to all the individuals, families, and businesses who supported us along the way. Our challenge is our attendance as well. In December, our rate was 85% compared to our November rate of 94%. 6 out of our 16 school days were reportable above the 15% threshold.
That's a lot.
Katie, is the bear okay in the lobby?
The bears are great, Matt. The bears are holding on.
Nothing fell on them?
Can I just make a comment, just for the record? The school board has not yet
Yeah.
approved an additional nurse. That will come later on the agenda for you to consider.
Sure.
But you're still welcome in advance. Well pitched, how could we say no? Thank you, Tiffany.
Who made that recommendation before it was approved?
Oops.
All right, I'm here to do the middle school, the high school athletics, and adult education. So the middle school, our Gardner Regional Middle School Drama Club had a swimming success with a performance of Dorothy in Wonderland. There was much laughter and excitement all throughout the theater that night. Teachers have been working diligently in PLC meetings, professional learning communities, using data to drive intervention and acceleration, the time block for students who have needs. Students are showing growth in these targeted areas and skill gaps are beginning to close. Teachers have truly gone way above and beyond working collaboratively, if they say that 10 times fast, to find best ways to engage students and ensure that successful student skills. I've botched that one completely.
It's that speed reading.
And ensure, I don't have my glasses, so that's a little bit, they are successful with all skills they need in the classroom.
Want to borrow a pair?
I'm gonna need some.
Here, Matt's got
Yeah,
some
Matt's
for
got
you.
some.
The 50s are, thank you.
It's a bad day when we get there.
There.
Oh, there's those words.
There's some paper. The challenge. Staffing remains a challenge. We are still down one special education teacher and are searching for an 8th grade social studies long-term sub at this time for the remainder of the year. Interviews for the long-term sub are underway. If anyone knows of any special education teachers interested in our position, please let them know. That was much easier with glasses. Thank you. At the high school, noteworthy, the English department held our annual Poetry Out Loud competition during the month of December. Senior Mackenzie Chappett was our school-wide winner, and she will be moving on to the regional and state competitions later this spring. All classes are gearing up for semester exams the week of January 17th through the 20th. We've been talking about those in class meetings. Our theater group is practicing for this year's musical, as was mentioned before, The Addams Family, and performances are February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, with special guest appearances from the school board on the 2nd.
Yay.
And
And the adult ed Zumba class.
and the adult ed Zumba.
Perfect.
Senior Sean Jimenez was selected as one of Maine's delegates for the U.S. Senate Youth Program. This prestigious honor includes a $10,000 scholarship and an all-expenses-paid trip to Washington, D.C.
So cool.
And our challenge is likewise with the elementaries, attendance due to sickness of staff and students has been a daily struggle. We've been operating between 80 and 85% of our students in attendance and averaging between 10 and 15 staff members out on a daily basis since we returned from Thanksgiving. This week has been a little better. So we've been under 10 every day. Adult education. We will have a professional development day on Monday, January 9th, where our team can connect with other teachers and administrative staff from across the region. We will be out of the office much of the day, but we'll be having the opportunity for sharing resources and tools to do our work better. As a small adult education team, this is an essential step in fostering an effective professional learning community. Classes and advising will resume for most students next week, while our first enrichment class will begin Thursday with Zumba. That'll be the same night as the board is at the high school, right?
Well, that's February, right?
Okay, so they'll be
We'll
Ranking along.
We'll get 'em.
And then the challenges are, we were still looking to fill our administrative assistant opening. So it is very, very busy covering those duties. Athletics, noteworthy is the high school currently has 133 student athletes involved in 8 winter sports. This is 21.4% of our student body involved in athletics. The middle school currently has 27 girl basketball players and 25 boy basketball players across 4 teams. And the middle school wrestling program will start later in January. And the challenge is trying to find enough people to staff our home basketball games has been a minor challenge compared to years past.
Which administrative assistant position?
Yeah, what are that?
Adult ed. So,
Vacant for a minute, right?
in December?
Not that long.
And you're
Close.
close to filling it,
Oh, good.
actually.
You need that help.
Yeah.
Not that you, no, we all need that kind of help.
Yeah.
Pick up our details, that's a good thing. Okay,
Anyone have any questions?
anyone else? Well done, thank you, Chad.
Hey there. So for the business office, noteworthy is with the end of the 2022 calendar year, the business office is busy preparing W-2 forms, 1099 forms, and 1094C forms. The business manager is in the middle of budget preparation for year 2024. The challenge in the business office is with the preparation of the budget and purchase orders. It has proven to be a challenge with 3 new administrative assistants at the schools. Technology. Winter NUIA testing becomes this coming week. The technology department is working to ensure that every student has a working computer, the rosters are uploaded properly, and that new staff have the computers and access needed for the testing. A challenge that we're having is our intercom system is not configured properly in our schools. Currently, we are unable to make an announcement in more than 1 large building at a time. We are limited to 120 devices. So if the high school with 94 phones makes an announcement at the same time as Helen Thompson with 40, then it cuts out the announcements at the other school. So this is a safety issue, and we are working with our vendor to come up with a solution that will work for everyone in all of our buildings. Special services. Noteworthy, the Office of Special Services has purchased a guided reading library that has several sets of decodable books for special educators district-wide to use with their students. The library is currently being utilized by several special ed educators and is housed at the Office of the Special Services here at the central office. Challenge. Staffing at our high school life skills program continues to be a challenge. We are consistently short by 3 staff members. A huge thank you to Kim Flynn from Riverview for supporting us in the life skills program. Curriculum, noteworthy. As mentioned by the technology department, we are preparing for the winter assessment window. On January 9th, we will start the process of checking on student learning through a variety of means to include the Early Bird Literacy Screener in pre-K through K and 1, NOEA in grades 1 through 8, and iReady Math Diagnostic in grades K through 5. Staff will have an opportunity to view the results and adjust instructions and intervention plans accordingly. Challenges. With the volume of staff absences, we've struggled to fill the vacancies. As the coordinator of substitutes, Angela is grateful for the continued interest and ongoing process of building our pool of substitutes. Angela interviews candidates routinely, yet we could benefit from a few more interested community members as substitute teachers. Operations. The month of December was warm and wet. We had fewer heating days than in past years. The 2 large storms did cause a few roof leaks, but were quickly fixed by G&E Roofing. The lobby ceiling at Helen Thompson has been removed and will be replaced in the next few weeks by a new suspended ceiling. Siemens has started updating our remote heating server to the new Desigo system. They plan to have the changeover completed by the end of January. A challenge, like most all departments in the district, we have been plagued by sickness. Gabe is hoping that after winter break, the new year can get back to normal. Last, food service. They have a total of 17 staff members throughout the district, and with the sickness that has been going around, all the students were fed each day, breakfast and lunch. That's the most important job that the food service has, and that went great. The challenge that they have is sickness has hit the staff like most of the rest of the district, and it was a short month, so nothing new really has happened.
That's it. Questions? Thank you, Terry. Wellness Committee, no meeting. Hopefield Committee, we met yesterday. And the building is there. And as I understand, I said I don't have a creative bone in my body, so I haven't actually seen it. But one window is in a perfect location to look at the fields. The other on the back side that faces the baseball field and the field hockey field, the window is not quite, or there's not a path, correct? To get to that window. So I need to go look at it so I can see exactly what I'm talking about, but we're talking about putting a path there, but there's a culvert that's also there, so we have to make sure that we don't mess with the culvert.
Yeah, there's drainage that runs along the back of the building. So whatever we do for a path, we gotta make sure that we can still have the drainage there. So the window on the baseball side probably won't be used very much for serving, but it's perfect for when they have ball games, they can keep it open and still serve out the other serving window on the end of the building, which you can walk right up to. So when you're in that concession area, you pretty much have a beautiful view of in every direction that's there. So especially the football field, you can see it right out the serving window, which would be perfect.
That's awesome. And there's a lot more room in this building.
Yes, it is very large. I think they're gonna realize that there's at least twice as much room in there as the old building. And to running food back and forth from the concession window to where they're making it, I think they're gonna put on quite a few steps a night when they have events, that's for sure.
So we should all volunteer so we can get our steps in. Great idea.
Yeah, I really needed to find a new way to get more
Yeah,
steps.
find more steps. And that's about it, yes? We're still working on the recognition wall,
Yeah.
and the hope is that it's going to be up and in place in the spring.
Yeah, in the spring, so it's looking for spring construction for the recognition wall, absolutely.
And we're still gathering donations and things for bricks and all of that. Right then, thank you. General information,
Just as written.
nominations.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Caroline Hamzavi, that's it. As our new elementary art teacher, and who will work at Helen Thompson and Laura E. Richards. She just graduated from college with this degree, so the timing is perfect. She has a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and we're really excited to have her join our team.
That's great.
She has an art education?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Yippee.
So I just need the board to officially approve her.
Oh, moved by Tony, second by Jim, Megan, Diane. Everybody, we're excited.
No, I know.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Great, thank you.
The nurse.
That comes
Further
under
down.
new
Okay,
business.
okay, I was looking at it for nominations.
Oh, no, because we don't have a name. You have to
Oh, we
approve
need
the
her name.
position
Gotcha.
before you can approve a
Oh,
person.
yes, that makes sense. New business.
Okay, so the first one is consider applying for a waiver to the Department of Education for the Gardner Regional Middle School closure on Friday, November 2nd due to illness. I'm sorry, December 9th. So in years past, it was always our belief that we really didn't need to have a waiver as long as you had at least 50% of the school population in school, but we have been told that that is not the case. And beginning this year, the Department of Education is expecting that every student attends school for the 175 days, even if it means just one building, that we have to make up school for just the middle school students. So I've been in contact, I've been thinking about this and working with Sarah Sims to come up with an alternative proposal that we could send to the commissioner to say that here, we're requesting a waiver, but this is how we want to really have the students make up the days. Because just having middle school students attend school an additional day at the end of the school year doesn't make sense. There'd be about a $4,500 additional cost for transportation, and students just aren't going to attend, right? They're just not going to show up. I mean, let's be real. So I talked to someone from the department today, and she actually clarified for me that there are two options. One is requesting a waiver, but before you do that, I can actually first request an alternative schedule. And so that's what I'm going to be able to do without getting your approval, without needing your approval for a waiver. However, if we do submit a waiver, that has to come from the board. I can't make the request without board approval. So I don't know, I'd like to take a couple minutes and kind of walk through what our plan is to see what your thoughts are. And if you're comfortable, maybe you can approve that a waiver be submitted if my initial request for an alternative schedule is denied. That way, if it's denied, I don't have to wait for another board meeting for you to approve a waiver. So what we talked about, Sarah and I, in our proposal to kind of make up the time is, do you remember Flight Night? For those of you who've been in middle school, we have Flight Night. Flight Night occurs in the spring. It is targeted towards 6th grade and 7th grade students, and they actually spend the night at the middle school with upwards of 20 staff members or more.
The 8th graders missed it because they didn't get it, right?
Correct, because it's targeted towards 7th and 8th, 6th and 7th graders.
Is that the one where Sarah slept outside and it's?
No, that
that's a
was different.
one.
That's
That was a
different.
fundraiser.
Right. In this particular one, historically, we've had about 70% of the students participate in this overnight event where they sleep over at the middle school. And while the students are there, they work on social skills, social media awareness, STEM-related activities. There's group work and peer collaboration to solve problems. They talk about health-related concerns and prevention surrounding vaping, drug abuse, physical activities. There are opportunities, reading club time, and that's all included. We also provide food. And I've talked to Sarah about the possibility of maybe some parents offering alternative transportation if there are indeed families who are unable to get their child to the middle school. We want to make sure that this is truly available for all children who wish to participate. As a part of this, we also have parents attend on a different night, either in person, and now we're going to do it virtually to make it really accessible for parents. 2 different 30-minute parent sessions in order for their children to actually spend the night. And those sessions are provided by the staff from Healthy Communities of the capital area. And it focuses on informing parents of current health-related concerns, certain prevention activities that families can participate in surrounding vaping, drug, alcohol abuse. And there's also going to be this year some social media awareness information shared with parents. So that's what we're proposing as an alternative day for our 6th and 7th graders. It is a little more difficult with our 8th graders, but we have a lot of activities that occur beyond the regular school day, such as the Patriots Pen. Many of you will remember the Patriots Pen, and it's writing an essay about patriotism and what it means for the students. We have opportunities for students to stay after school upwards of 2 to 3 hours on multiple days. And in the years past, we've had approximately 40% of our students participate. This year, they're starting something new with a garden building grant in collaboration with the Gardner Public Library, where students after school will build garden boxes to plant a garden at the local library. They're hoping to have 35 to 40% of the students participate, and the activity will require up to 2 hours every week for multiple weeks. There's Pi Day, which occurs in March, where students stay after school to hang around pi numbers around the school and so that various math activities and scavenger hunts. Approximately 30% of the student body stay up to 1 hour beyond the regular school day to participate. And then we have the award ceremony, the dinner dance, and that 99% of the 8th graders attend, and those 2 events total a minimum of 5 hours, and food is indeed provided. So my hope is to submit this information to the commissioner and request that she allow us to use this alternative approach to actually make up that school day.
So all those hours would kind of accumulate into the day that's missing.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, because basically to make up that day, you have to make up 5 hours.
Sure.
This really will exceed the 5
It
hours.
certainly will.
Yeah.
It's gonna wanna come.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That would an option potentially be, I think we've done this in the past, I think. I might be wrong. Like adding a half hour prior to and a half hour after school for every, like maybe 3 or 4 times over a month.
So you can add up to an hour a day on 5 different days.
Okay.
The challenge with that in this particular case is that the middle school students' day ends around 2 o'clock. If you extend an hour, that's 3 o'clock. That's the same time our elementary students are being released. And our buses don't have the capacity to take all students K through 8. So that's not an option for us.
Okay.
It is something that
Just a thought.
it was something on my waiver request to indicate why I'm not thinking about that as an option.
Under the waiver, this is very specific about a particular day, but can we make it, let's assume they decide not to do this. Can we work out where it's if in the future we need another, because we may end up with more days like this, can we just give the approval to you to approach the waiver possibility if we have to on any day that's necessary? Why not?
It's my understanding that any specific waiver, any request for a waiver for a specific day has to be requested by the school board. So you can't give me just blanket approval to submit any waiver that we need for this school year.
Probably in part because she's our employee and you just don't give away all the responsibilities that we have. We vote on the calendar and that kind of thing.
I said go to school on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Flame out.
We
We need
did.
50% attendance.
Yeah, right?
Nobody
I
there.
want to watch that day.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you are comfortable in granting me approval to submit a waiver on behalf of the board, should the commissioner deny my request for an alternative structure or alternative schedule, you certainly could do that right now.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Second by Matt. Questions or comments?
I have one question. Was it flight night?
Yes, it's called flight night.
Yeah, I know we talked about that once at the middle school PTA, and that was the comment I had. What are you talking about? Because we never did it. Victoria never had it because she's in 8th grade. So I hope Sarah's thought of that as others may be sort of like reeling to be like, hey, we didn't do that kind of thing. They didn't do dances either. They just had their first dance. So just,
And she's in 8th grade now.
yeah.
I'll mention it to
Yeah,
Sarah.
just see. I don't know if it would, who knows, right?
Yeah.
Each day's
Who
different with a
knows?
preteen, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so who knows?
But I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I will say something to her. And we'll see, because if she came back and said, "Ah, didn't realize that,
Yeah.
well, we add 8th grade, then I don't need
Then you
all
don't need
of
all
the
the
other
other stuff. Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Party time.
But I'm not in charge of
Yeah, I
that, so
agree.
that is
Yep,
up to the
that's
middle
fair.
school.
All right.
I think my
Other
granddaughter is
questions?
looking very forward to that.
Just tell them it's a 24-hour challenge, and then they're like, yay.
Yeah, right?
Sleep for the whole weekend.
All right, all those in favor?
Yeah, so she's just a year ahead of me.
Right. You guys in favor?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Thanks. Motion carries.
All right, so here's the next one, the consideration to hire a 4th elementary nurse, school nurse, effective immediately. You've already heard a little bit about this. So I believe it was in November, you began to hear from building administrators about the challenges that they were being faced with only having 3 elementary nurses and trying to cover 4 buildings. We anticipated last year when we built the budget, we anticipated that the 3 positions would be sufficient. I mean, years ago, we only had 1 nurse that covered all of our elementary schools. And we had 5 elementary schools at the time. But this year, we have seen more and more students arrive at school with more serious health issues. So this was brought to the Finance Committee and discussed with the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee unanimously approved bringing it to the board to create a 4th position that would remain permanently in the district for the time being. So when we build the budget for next year, we will automatically start off with having that position in the budget should you approve it tonight. We anticipate that it is going to cost us about $40,000 for the remainder of the year, roughly, all depending on the person's experience and when they start. And so if you approve it tonight, there is also a next section where we would need your approval to actually transfer funds from the support, what is that line called?
We're going to transfer funds from the regular instruction expenditure article to support the support expenditure article, but we don't want to do that until the end of the year, until we know how much that line is over.
Makes sense.
So there's kind of the 2 steps here, if you are in favor. So we would need the board to officially approve the creation of this position.
I'll move that we create the 4th nurse position.
And no pressure from Tiffany. And a second by Diane. Questions or comments? We all understand? Great. All those in favor? Go find a nurse.
Well, we have been moving forward on interviews and they've actually interviewed some candidates yesterday and they're pretty, from what I understand, really excited about 2 or 3 candidates, so we're looking good. So then we do need another motion for the transfer of funds.
We're going to wait till the end of the year until we know what it's going to be, but the board needs to know that at the end of the year, it will need to make that transfer at that vote.
So we're going to, well, we can make a motion now to give Andrea permission to begin transferring money at the time we need to do it.
Is
Correct?
that fine? That's what we added, that the motion to approve the transfer of the funds for the nurse position be made at a later date. Is that
At
fine?
a later date.
Yes.
At a later date.
Okay.
So a
So
motion
moved.
by Tony,
Thank you.
second by Matt. Questions or comments?
Are we sure we're gonna have the money? I guess my question would be, if we're gonna hire somebody now,
I anticipate.
Have you ever known Andrea not to
I
find?
get it, but I'm just, and I'm sure we will, but I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
I mean, we split hairs all the time during budget season about down to the dollar. And here we are talking in midstream about funding a $40,000 position. I guess you all can understand my point.
Sure.
It's needed. I support it completely, but I'm just
It is
wanting to point it
needed.
out.
It's a safety issue.
I know.
at this point.
Matt, if you ask me if we're going to have $40,000 left at the end of the year, the answer is absolutely. If you ask me exactly which lines that is coming from at this point, I can't tell you.
Okay.
I will better be able to tell you at the end of the year, but I have without a doubt that we will have those funds available.
I'm sure of that. Thank you.
And part of that might come from, tell me if I'm wrong, but positions that we haven't been able to fill throughout the years. The money is in those lines, so it's already been approved by the voters.
Yeah.
So I just want to
Thank you.
I'm hammering you.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay, moving on.
No, we need a.
We need to, all those in favor? Trying to get out for Jim.
Yeah.
We have so much time. Okay. Update on the status of the Gardner Area High School trip to Peru.
Yeah, between Chad and I, we'll just tag team. So I'm not sure if you are all aware that there has been a situation in Peru, an upheaval with their government. And so our teacher, who's actually going to be leading this trip, has been in contact with our travel company to see what our options are, because you have approved a trip to Peru for our high school students in April. So they're supposed to be going in April. And so our particular company has given us a couple options. And the recommendation really at this point is to sit tight and wait till maybe the end of this month. We have to make a decision within 60 days of when the students leave. So we have some flexibility to actually see what the situation is. What we're being told is that things have settled down considerably than what they were a couple months ago. And so we can sit tight until the end of, I think it's the end of January, beginning of February, to make a decision. And the company is also looking at an alternative location for us, which would be Costa Rica. So that we do have other plans so the students can still go on a trip. It may not be Peru, it would be Costa Rica. And that will come back to you in February, once we have more information.
February 10th. It's a 60-day window, so it's right around February 10th. I just looked at the calendar, ballparked it, that Friday the 10th is the time that
Okay.
puts us within that 60-day window.
So I just have a quick comment. So if something happens within the 60-day window, if the decision is made to go, and something happens within the 60-day window, for example, I mean, a lot of this is State Department driven. A lot of times, State Department will say there will be no travel to Peru.
there's a 30-day state of emergency right now in effect.
So my point would be, maybe it'd be smart right now to just move it to Costa Rica.
They have a sloth sanctuary in Costa Rica. So it seems like, I don't know.
So it's just a suggestion. I mean, it may be completely out of our hands. I've dealt with this type of issue before, being in the military. State Department decides who can go and who can't go, right? They need passport stuff. So it might be to create a less of a headache for everybody to just make that move early.
And then the kids can get used to the idea.
Right. Just a thought.
Yeah, I'm thinking that if they weren't able to go for that reason, that Costa Rica would be the backup, that they could shift gears through the travel company, but I'm not positive. That's my sense, is that as a backup, if Peru falls through, then they've got a backup plan.
Is it something you would be able to talk to the group about before? And maybe they just would rather go somewhere else, or I don't know what the group is like.
We can certainly.
I'm going, so. Yeah, I mean, so we've talked about it a little bit, just back and forth. And they're right now, really the 60-day window is to buy the plane tickets. That's the window. They need to at least get the plane tickets. So they're holding off until that last minute to see how things kind of, if they are going to keep evening out, or if there's going to be some other protests. And we fly into Lima, and that's where a lot of the protests are. Me and my wife have used this company before. It's the same one, Explorica, that we've done other trips through. The company is really safety based. The company will say, no, you cannot go, or yes, we feel safe. And there's a guide that's with us 24 hours a day on site. They do this for a living. They do a really good job at it, that's for sure. But definitely, we've talked about if we need to switch gears, and we'll figure out where we go, and then they'll buy the plane tickets to Costa Rica. And that's what we'll plan to do, if that's what we need to.
But what my point is, just echoing Matt says, even if you sit in the 60-day window, everything looks fine, and then 30 days out or 20 days out, everything goes to hell in a handbasket in the capital, which is, where you guys are
You're
flying
stuck
into,
there.
then what happens?
Right, so if it's something the company says, oh my God, you can't go, they're not gonna send us into a
What are they gonna give you money
Zoom.
back?
The last trip that we did, we were supposed to go to Japan, and that was the same idea. We ended up right to the last minute. COVID happened, we delayed it, and COVID still happened, and so we ended up canceling the trip. So everybody got their money back minus some insurance monies. But there's always the possibility that trips can't go. And the company will make that decision, and even if it's within the 60 days, it's not like we're gonna pay that full amount and not be able to go somewhere, that's for sure.
Okay, Jim?
I don't know, the cultural heritage for Peru is fantastic. It goes back millennia, but Costa Rica, I don't know what is there that would be that interesting to the students.
And that's why we were going to Peru. So.
Well, yes, obviously, but I am concerned, just like what Matt says, and I've done business in part of Latin America, and it can be very dangerous on occasions, not now, but I'm concerned about taking a group of students into an area that could have problems. But I would like to see them in a better place if we're going to have an alternative. I'd like something better than Costa Rica, which might be great to go to the beach, but I think this is supposed to be an enrichment program to go to.
So is this
I'd give
board
my right
sanctioned?
cheek to go to Peru, I really
You
would.
approved it, yes. We cannot send a group of students out of the country without board approval. So that's
So
why
it's
it's
sort of on
back
us at this point, right?
here. Yes.
And there's about a 50-50 mix between adults and students too. So it's not a huge group, it's a pretty small group. So it's almost a one-on-one for paying adults and paying students.
So I do think it requires a lot more conversations behind the scenes. And this, regardless of what is done, I'll put this back on the agenda for February, okay?
And maybe things will be a
Yeah,
lot better by then.
yeah. Better, okay. All right, so let's plan to talk more.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Update on strategic planning process.
We are wrapping up the community conversations. We're hoping next week, we'll be able to conclude holding those conversations. We were not able to get as many groups as we had hoped. We were talking about having 10 sessions per stakeholder group, and we weren't able to pull it off. We just, I think people are busy, right, with schedules. So our new target is 6. So if we can at least have 6 groups, again, that includes students, and I believe we've met that student target, staff, community members, parents, and so we're getting close. So once we're done with those conversations, then the transcripts will be reviewed, things will be pulled together, and then we'll be having what's called sense-making meetings. And so basically the information that they gleaned will then be put back to the individuals who participated if they wish to do it, and they have a chance to really see what they said. And they can potentially make changes if they're uncomfortable with certain things that may have been stated. And then we'll refine it after that, and eventually it will come back here, of course.
We've spent a lot of money on this program. Is it our responsibility to find the people to participate in these groups, or was it the company's responsibility to facilitate finding the people?
It is ours, and we have
okay.
worked really, really hard. Angela's not here tonight. Angela has spent many, many hours trying to encourage participation. In some cases, we had 6 individuals signed up to participate, and then the morning of, oh, I have a sick child, or this has happened, or that has happened, and people have backed out. So we have put forth a significant amount of time in trying to get the word out, trying to get people to participate. So it kind of is what it is. Now, if we had done a traditional one, like we had in the past, we only had, 80, 90 people participate. I think right now we're up to around 140 or so. So it's certainly better and more representative of our community than in the past. But it's not what we had hoped for.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that because we did spend quite a bit of money on this program, did we think we could get more than we were able to get? It's unfortunate.
I think we're overly optimistic, and our price will be reduced because we had fewer sessions.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
so we will
decent.
see a reduction as a result.
And will we still get plenty of data out of it that we're going to be able to end up with a reasonably good plan? Because we were I'm very much in favor of the plan.
Yes, I believe so. In the conversations that we've had with Jennifer, the woman who was here and talked about it, Jennifer said that she is already seeing a lot of similar themes come out of the conversations. So she absolutely believes that we have targeted enough people to make this process worthwhile and to really have it reflective of our community.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Board chair, none. Superintendent.
So I know I've mentioned to you before about the district emergency radios. As a reminder, our school resource officer, Sam Quintana, submitted an application to Kennebec County for using ARP funds to upgrade our communication system and to install a repeater so that we will actually be able to communicate as a school district from one end of Pittston to the other end of West Gardner, which we believe is probably going to be the best communication system that any school district in the state probably has. We're really excited about it. And I thought I would show you that we ordered 61 radios. These are the radios that most people have. These are the 61 radios, and I won't go through it, but each school has its own frequency, right? And so these are probably about the same types of radio that the Gardner PD that they have. It's very similar to what the Gardner PD has. We also have, the SRO has one of these, and I have one of these. This is the result of a donation made by an anonymous community member of ours. I have no idea who it is. And we just really want to stress our appreciation for this individual. This particular radio, in addition to being big, heavy, right, is exceptional. And not only does it do what this particular radio does, it also allows us access to emergency organizations. So this particular radio allows us to communicate as a district from one building to another. This one does that, but it also provides frequencies for the state police, for fire, for the local police, for emergency management, for MEMA. And so should we ever be in an emergency situation, it allows us immediate access to those outside organizations. It is phenomenal. And, you know, this is like a $1,200 radio, which is expensive. This is like a $4,000 radio. It's unbelievable. And so again, I just really want to stress two things, you know, our appreciation for our community member who is making this incredibly generous donation to us, but also given our experience on the 15th, just emphasize the importance of our school district being able to communicate with one another. You see across the country in these situations, cell phones crash, right? The systems crash and you have no way of really communicating with one another. And thanks to Sam Quintana thinking to submit that grant, we are now going to have the ability to communicate with each other should the need ever exist. So I really just wanted to emphasize that. And I know we've talked about it before, but now that the radios are here, I wanted to give you a visual so you can see what they look like. So there's that. And then finally, I just wanted to let you know, next week is the superintendent's winter convocation. It's January 12th and 13th. We haven't met for a number of years because of COVID and due to other commitments. I haven't been in years. So I'm actually going to be out of the district for those 2 days. I'll be in Portland attending that training, that professional development. So that's it for my report.
We're all done, except for an executive session.
Right.
So we're all done goes to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your engaging input tonight. Drive safely.
And if we can get, we have an executive session. Oh, so if you guys could take a motion so we can get in, do our business and leave as quickly as possible, that would be great. Alyssa, you're not allowed to stay.
Got it. I'm gonna go do my homework.
Okay.
Good luck,
Girl.
So we're not coming back into session, so I'm going to start the live stream now.
Okay.
Correct, there will be no action
No action
as a
taken.
result of the executive session. So we need a vote.
I move we go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Second by Matt Marshall. All those in favor? Motion carries. Yay. We did well.